when I do these on the billboard, I'm like, they're going to judge me whether I have a suit and tie and it's a nice message or I do something crazy. But if I do something crazy, it'll get the eyes. And I'm just going for a numbers game.
Welcome to the Real Estate Is Show. I have a really cool guest today. Somebody that I've always wanted to meet in person, that I've talked to on the phone before, but never have really met. And that is the Tattooed Realtor. Here he is.
Appreciate you having me on.
All right. So what I know of you, we'll start with family, if you don't mind, is my wife ran into you and you're kind of hard to miss.
Yeah.
Mostly because you wear beanies, right?
Well, plus the cars are all wrapped. So
the cars are wrapped and the tattoos.
Yeah.
My wife was always like, hey, do you know the Tattooed Realtor? And my kids love your cars. I know of them, but we've never really crossed paths, and we just recently crossed paths. So I do know you have children. How many children do you have?
3, 11, 9, and 2.
Okay. So I'm 11, 9, and 7.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So we're really close. You have a little bit of a gap there. All from the same wife?
No, the last one it was a friend at the time. We're still we're best friends now, so we all get along at least. Yeah, but different. 2 older ones with the same woman, and the last one not.
How long have you been in real estate or as a real estate agent?
3.5, almost 4 years.
Wow. What's really neat about that is the volume you do and the brand. And let's just talk about the brand for a second. Where did that idea come from? Like, what did that look like? I'm assuming you had tattoos before you got into real estate.
Yeah. It's all like a huge long story, but basically I'm very big on human behavior, not going off what experts say, just kind of what human behavior tells you. And I've changed pest control companies from branding. I've went to companies because of branding. So when I started to do real estate, I knew nobody had their face, head, and neck tattooed. There's people with tattoos in real estate, but none covered like me. I'm not an idiot. I know that an average consumer, an average person is probably not going to want to use me or think that. So if I created a brand around my look, it would kind of help overcome an objection of my look. So if I'm doing an open house, no one's going to come in and say, what is this guy doing here?
Where's the realtor?
Yeah, they're not going to assume I'm a realtor. So the brand was to overcome an objection. And I know also it creates an established, you're an established person.
So I've got a friend, he's the shark. I mean, you could be whatever you want. You don't have to have tattoo, but you just create your own brand. I'm sure you know some other, we talked about the red suit guy, right? You can kind of create your own brand. That's a really interesting approach. Did you do that from day one?
Yeah, I did that. I was branded before I even finished school. I was that serious. There's stuff that happened in my life that kind of made me be all in or out. A lot of people know this. I was not going to be here anymore. I was going to leave, if you know what I mean.
Depression type stuff?
Yeah. I was stuck in my other job for 13 years, 2 divorces, relationship with my kids. It just ruined my mental health. And I had always remembered one of my worst days at work. I was going through a divorce. It was just a really bad time. It was a 15-hour day at work. It was 118 degrees out that day.
What kind of work were you doing?
I was worked for Pepsi driving a semi, but I had to unload the trucks, wheel it all in. So 120-degree weather. I used to bring 2 or 3 shirts and socks with me to work because I'd sweat through everything. Because we're in the middle of parking lots.
You're not as involved in your kids' lives at that point?
No, because I'm working all the time. When I get home, I'm tired. So my son wants to play baseball father and sons do. It's I'm tired, dude. I just work 15-hour days. And to me, it was a annoyance almost because they should know. But in reality, it's just they haven't seen me all day. This is a surprise to them that I'm home earlier. So I had to remember it was the worst day at work. And I'd seen a billboard that said the Tattooed Lawyer. And he goes by anti-lawyer now. He's one of the big gavels on the billboards. But I had seen
you took his branding, huh?
Well, the only thing that stuck to me was this guy's created a law office from his look. Who would trust him, right? I trust him. And I said to myself, that's exactly who I'd work with. So that thought had always stuck with me. 6 years later, I'm going through the same thing. I'm going through a divorce. And this time it's with my best friend. We were on the couch filling out divorce papers. And I'm like, this shouldn't be happening, but it's happening because I'm so unhappy with myself. I was sleeping an hour before and after work. My mental health was shot. I've always wanted to do real estate, just never thought I could. There's no law saying you can't. It was just my own thought process around it. No one's going to use me.
You created your own roadblock there, right?
Yeah, and then brokerages, who's going to hire me, right? And in reality, you interview brokerages. So I didn't know anything about the industry, so I just thought I couldn't be in it.
I bet you there are so many people, even new realtors that are new potential realtors, let me clarify, that are listening to this today that have their own limiting beliefs. Yours might have been around your look, but theirs might have been around their obesity. It might be around their what's the word I'm looking for? Not extroverted, but introverted. Maybe they're really introverted or whatever.
I'm a huge introvert. People don't know that.
I was going to ask you that question.
Yeah.
You're an introvert.
Big time. it's a imposter syndrome. It's weird to hear that stuff. Like, cause I never thought I'd have a business. My goal was to sell 5 houses my first year. I've always been the best at the job. I was a teacher for I worked with kids for 7 years. I taught for 2. A lot of people don't know that, but I was the best teacher.
You got a work ethic.
Yeah. So the work ethic was always there.
Where did that come from? You say always there, but where do you think it really came from?
My single mom. My father passed away when I was little, and I have 2 sisters. So she raised us 3 by herself. She worked 3 jobs. She had a Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 job. She had a weekend job, and she had a night job.
How have you changed as a father, knowing that your mom had to work that much and maybe
I don't know how she did it. Most of the time.
Has it changed the way that you parent?
100%. Yeah.
In what way?
That I lead by example, not by like telling, not speaking words, more speaking actions.
I'm going to connect some dots if you don't mind, and tell me if I'm wrong. It sounds like you've always had that even before kids, like you recognized that you wanted to be a good parent, and not that your mom wasn't a good parent, but you wanted to be around more. Right.
I knew from when I was young, I wanted a little daughter. My first kid was a daughter, and all my guy friends were like, "Oh, you didn't want a boy?" I'm like, "No, I wanted a girl." Like I've always wanted to be a nurturer. Yeah.
So what's interesting about that is I could see. I'm connecting a dot here. Again, tell me if I'm wrong. I could see if you are working a lot and you're not happy with yourself, and you start telling yourself, "I'm not being that good father I said I wanted to be," how hard that would be on you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's the dot I'm connecting that.
Yeah, that's why I said like it ruined my relationship with my kids. Like not just that, but it was just like it made me look like in my eyes like I'm working so hard for my kids. Like I thought, and I didn't grow up with a father, so I thought husbands were supposed to provide and protect. I wasn't doing the dishes after you cook. I wasn't saying you look beautiful because you're supposed to know. So I wasn't doing any of those things that you're supposed to do because I never saw it growing up. So I just didn't know.
You probably don't know this name. His name is Duke Kelly. Do you know who that name? He is a legend real estate investor. I mean, big landowner, big warehouse owner, like way bigger than you and I will ever be, most likely. And I'm not limiting you, but he was a big deal.
Yeah.
I went to lunch with him one time, and he's passed away now. And I always like meeting those legends in Arizona because they go away at some point and they die, right? And he taught me a concept that all relationships, especially with your wife and kids, are like a flower pot. Like you have to dump more in, but it all drips out the bottom, and you just have to keep pouring in because it all just leaves again. It just reminds me of that.
Yeah,
how
the good thing is
important it is.
I've taken something from it. Like it wasn't something where that's been a repeated behavior. It was learned and fixed right away. Because I did want the family.
You have how many daughters?
One daughter.
One daughter. What's her name?
Two sons. Camila.
Yeah. How's your relationship with her?
Very good. Yeah. She's been like my rock when I was a single father. She was there. She knew I was struggling. She knew when I needed somebody. She knew when to help. Like she's 11, but that girl's 25. And
so you have a girlfriend in your life. How's that relationship? Is she
probably the best one I've ever been in? The healthiest one, the best one for sure.
And with Camila, sorry.
Camila, you can tell it's funny because I can see so much change in my daughter because she now has like a woman and she's been wanting it. You can tell.
Yeah.
Things when they didn't work out with my younger son's mom, she took it very hard because her daughter was the same age. So not only like now she had like a sister type and she had another woman around. So when that ended, it didn't end in any kind of bad way, but you could tell it definitely hurt her.
There's a great quote out there, and it's no amount of success can compensate for a failure at home. You know, there's no amount of success.
Like now she's just like, you can see a genuine smile on her face.
That's great. My experience has been is the more I invest into my family and my kids and my spouse, the more success that they invest in me back into supporting me in work. Right. It's really interesting how that works. Right.
That's why I said it's been the healthiest because I'm like, I try every single day. Like what? I don't care. It's like I have to win her every single day. That's like the mentality I went going into this.
It's that Duke Kelly thing, right? You got to keep dumping in. But man, we got deep really fast. Let's get back to real estate.
That's why I said if you ever go, it's going to go sideways.
Let's get back to real estate. All right, so you get your real estate license. You're the tattooed realtor. Walk me through that transition. Did you start at Keller Williams, or where did you start? When I met you, or when I talked to you the first time, you were at Keller Williams. So where'd you start?
I started at EXP. My older kid's mom was a recruiter for teams at EXP. She didn't do real estate, but she recruited for one. So I didn't even know she was in that field. So when I kind of told everyone I was going to do real estate, I got a lot of like side eyes, like, well, how are you going to do it?
Yeah.
She actually set up a meeting with Chuck Fazio and come to find out, because I was worried about my look, come to find out like he was worked with the mob and owned a strip club and all this stuff. And I was like, whoa, I didn't know any of this stuff. And how did he build such a career from that. So I didn't think I could do real estate. But after talking to him, I realized I went to EXP, left that for Revelation. Then they moved to EXP. I went to Keller Williams. But for the first 2 months, I was licensed, but I didn't do real estate because I was still working a job.
Let me ask you an interesting question. Why did you choose to not go back to EXP and to go to Keller Williams?
Because it was just it was like too pressure. I don't like pressure.
Got it.
If I feel pressured on something, it's kind of like a bad sign. So my team, Matt Chick, I was on his team at the time. They chose to go to Keller Williams, and that's why I went.
Got it.
Then I was there for 2.5 years. It was a
great culture.
Yeah. Loved Keller Williams.
Next question.
I still go to that brokerage to teach agents, and
really,
yeah, and they pour into me. I pour into them. So.
And that's a good, I think Kenny Klaus is out of that office, right? Kenny's, he's on the wall there. I mean, really good people at that brokerage. Yeah. The very obvious question, why then back to EXP? What happened?
Because over the 2.5 years, I've been pitched EXP left and right, and it's like a used car salesman. And it's just the wrong people sending the wrong message, and it turned me off completely from the company. So now I'm not even hearing the benefits. I'm just saying no because it pisses me off that I'm getting sold over.
It feels like multi-level marketing sometimes.
Yeah, and I talked to the owner about that, but someone approached me and showed me my opportunities at EXP, not EXP. He's like, I'm not here to pitch you EXP. I'm here to pitch you what you can do for 1,000 people.
Nice.
And the way he approached it, I went from hating it for 2.5 years to saying yes in 20 minutes.
Did you look into Real? Did you look into some of these other brokerages that are similar? I'm curious why you chose that.
So I did research. I did research on both, and Real was owned by like some venture capitalists and stuff like that. And I know eventually it might work now, but when you start growing and things are more expensive, I don't think they're going to keep the same model. That's the only reason I switched or went to EXP. Plus, I'm joining a group at EXP, and what happens is they provide to you, you can provide to everybody. So I'm taking what's providing me and giving value. So when someone joins us, they're getting so much more than I got because I'm pouring in them too.
Was there anything else you do? You said you do some like coaching over at KW. You love teaching people at EXP, but is there anything else you're working on?
We have an investment business. So we do, we're heavy in Ohio right now. Like we have 17 under contract in Ohio. We probably buy 21 in December. Just in Ohio. So we're doing novations out there. It was, we do a PPC. And this guy's very exclusive, and he only does one person per state. So like out of the ones that were open, I just felt Ohio was the best investment opportunity. And then I started a company in April called Successful Misfits. And it's,
that's a cool name. Where did that name come from?
It was born from me. Like had I not ever seen the tattooed lawyer and seeing that he had success, I don't know if I'd be here because it was just a thought like, hey, he did it. I'm miserable. This is my one last shot.
Isn't it crazy how that one image can change your whole belief system?
Mm-hmm. So that's what Successful Misfits is. Cool. It's a group of entrepreneurs that have different looks, different backgrounds, came up differently, grew up poor, immigrants, like whatever it is, they have a past that society should write them off. Like they're not going to do anything with their lives, right? And they build multi-million-dollar companies. So some of the speakers I've had, guy did 12 years in prison. Now he's a multimillionaire. One guy was in the Mexican cartel and was in Mexican prison for 13 years. Now he's a pastor and a youth leader. We had a guy who's...
So it's not necessarily financial success. It's just any kind of overcoming.
One guy was a meth head
success.
7 years ago. He was a meth addict and homeless, and now he's worth millions of dollars. And then we have a woman who was a single mom and what she's built from that. We have a woman who's an immigrant and what she's built. So it's just people.
Is this a mastermind or what is it?
I don't know yet. Like I started it out of nowhere, like for clothing first. I used to want to do this like 5 years ago for clothing. It was just a cool brand, but now it's more like built into their meetups, conferences, mastermind clothing. But everyone that goes to the meetups like leaves, like they're like, wow, dude. And I remember the last one I had with the cartel guy. I had like 5 people at the end come up to me like, dude, I don't know what you got something here.
It's everybody loves that comeback story. I mean, it's what movies are made out of. I mean, if you look at a lot of movies, they create them over those kind of stories, but you're showing real life examples of it.
I think it'll help because so many people, like we talked about earlier, they're not held back by society as friends and family as much as themselves. Like you're going to be your worst enemy. Like this person could say this person could say this, that might hold you down, but you will hold yourself back farther than they'll hold you back.
What current limiting beliefs do you have that's helping you get to the next level?
I still have imposter syndrome really bad. When people talk good about me, like when they introduce me, when I go on stage, I start getting like, cause I'm an introvert too at heart. I start getting sweaty. I like rub my hands. Like I'm like super nervous. And now I go up there. I'm like, I shouldn't be here. Like, and it's not because I'm just not used to it. To me, success, I haven't reached it yet. So when people say something, it's like, I know I can do more. I'm not doing exactly what I should be doing. I don't have the business that you think I have. So
I think that's true about a lot of realtors.
So I get imposter and I'm very open with my stuff. So when people say it, like, I'll correct them. And then I start thinking, like, why am I correct? Like, just let it go. Like, it's not a big deal.
Let's talk about branding and marketing for a second. Obviously, I own a business called Rocket Lister that is all about content and marketing. But, marketing has a big global reach to it. I mean, you take marketing to another level. You have really, I don't know how many, but you have like really cool cars with wraps on them. You do billboards. Talk to me about like when you say I branded myself, what that really means.
I was doing a speaking event. They flew me out to North Carolina to do this event. I'm speaking with a rep from like a major company, like a Johnson & Johnson type company, a business professor from, I think it was like Penn State or something. And I'm there and I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm just an average Joe. But when I got on stage, I said something that just came from the heart. And that's been like my motto. And I was like, when I started, I said 2.5 years ago, I was at the worst point in my life where I didn't want to be here anymore. I said, I don't know shit about branding. I don't know anything about marketing. I know nothing about real estate. I know nothing about social media. And I don't know anything about business. And here's what I was able to do in 2.5 years from just being an average Joe. And that's where I thought my message is a lot more powerful than the other people, is because many more people can relate to me than them in the professional industry. And I don't ever project myself as a professional. I just say, here's what worked for me and here's why I did it. If it works for you, do it. But I don't ever tell people you should do this, you have to do this, do this. Everything I did was like by accident, circumstance, me just thinking.
What have you done for branding and what is working and what's not working?
So like billboards and stuff, like I wasn't using billboards to create this business where I create a bunch of phone calls. It wasn't for that. It was to make my brand more. And I said that because, like I said, I went through 2 divorces. I've been engaged twice. Guess where I went for a engagement ring? I went to Shanco. I went to Shanco because I've heard their radio station, or I've heard their radio ads since I was a kid. When I was 7 or 8, I could spit out lawyers' phone numbers from their jingles they have on the radio. So there's always been those people in law and jewelry and restaurants that you just go to because you know them. And I've never had that in real estate. Like, I don't think any real estate person ever stuck out to me. So I'm saying until I got my license, what agents did I truly know? And I could spit out one, Russell Shaw. So I took a lot of that into the business when I started. I was just like, I want to be that name. So the branding and stuff, like some of my billboards were crazy, funky, but I put my Instagram on it. So they were like, there's no call to action. People are like, there's no call to action. There's no value proposition in your marketing. I'm like, I don't want that. I just want my foot in the door. Like you're going to judge me whether I'm on a billboard or not, commercial or not. You are automatically going to consume or assume something. Because when I run an ad, there's people that I would never work with him. And like, if I'm a top 1% agent in Arizona, you're going to work with 99% of people that don't know what I know. Yeah. So it's like, truly, like, what do you think you got me? Like, this is not a got me moment. Like, I'm not begging for your business. So when I do these on the billboard, I'm like, they're going to judge me whether I have a suit and tie and it's a nice message or I do something crazy. But if I do something crazy, it'll get the eyes. And I'm just going for a numbers game. That's all.
How much do billboards cost?
A lot, but they give me a big discount.
If they're a real estate agent listening to this, they're like, man, I should brand myself, start doing some billboards. What does that look like?
One of the billboards I was on cost $8,000 a month. They charged me $3,500 a month for it. That's a big cost. But I did it because if I made $70,000 in real estate, that's how much I made my last job, $70,000. I ruined my life. And I worked 70 hours a week for that $70,000. If I'm make $70,000 a year, I don't care. I'm happy. That's all I cared about. So every dollar I made, I put back into my business. I just kept doing that because I thought it would take me 5 to 10 years to become a name. Like my first year, I was becoming a name. I was like, what the fuck? I didn't think any of this was going to happen. Like none of this was supposed to happen.
When was the last time you felt poor? How long is that? Poor or didn't have like a lot of money?
My last job, I lived paycheck to paycheck.
So 4 or 5 years ago?
My wife at the time hit a curb, popped a tire. It's $168 to change the tire, and it caused a rift in our relationship where I'm stressed and then we have to go to the grocery store. I'm like, well, we got to pay less now. Like we got to hit a curb. Yeah. She didn't mean to hit the curb, but it's just like, it causes so much stress living paycheck to paycheck.
Money solves a lot of problems.
Yeah. So it wasn't, and now I'm swiping my card for $7,000 to do a billboard. Like it's not real to me right now.
Yeah. No. So where I'm going with this is, I mean, it was a good 12, maybe 13 years ago where I was in a similar position. And it's the concept of, to be successful, you got to eat shit for a long period of time. I paid myself $3,500 a month while I was married for a good 5 years. And I had assistants showing up in BMWs, and I'm driving this old piece of crap car that I'm just trying to put along because I'm investing every single dollar back into our business. Every single dollar. It's the long game. And I just think a lot of real estate agents miss that concept, right? They're buying the Beamer day one because they got their commission check. What are your thoughts on that concept?
Oh, that's exactly what I think. Like, I remember when I was starting to get business, your kids go to Enterprise, you might like this. I started thinking, one of my billboards needs to be taken down because somebody, if they're willing to pay full price, they take me down. So obviously that's fine with me because they have to find someone willing to pay that much money. So when they took me down, I wrapped $3,500 a month into that billboard. So I was like, what can I do to make a mobile billboard? And I was like, what is a car everyone looks at? No matter who you are in your life, what does everyone look at? And my thought was a limo. I'm going to buy a limo and wrap it. So I bought a limo and wrapped it. I started dropping my kids off at Eduprise. Yeah. And as soon as I pulled in the parking lot with a wrapped limo, all the kids would like come to the fence. And I remember a week into it, my daughter was like, Dad, are we millionaires? I was like, no, but why would you say that? She's like, because all the kids think we're millionaires. And they come up and they say, you see your billboard, now they see a limo.
Yeah, that's awesome.
In reality, their mom's Camry costs more than the limo. So I started making kids shirts. So I would hand them out to my kids and they wore them to school and they started handing out. I saw 5 kids wearing my shirt because I had given my shirt out to the kids. Because they said, oh, my friend wants one, my friend wants one. So I just started giving them to them. And I went there, I was like, why do 5 kids have my shirt? So I started using like this brand to just become, it was now like attention.
The parents watch the laundry, so they're seeing you.
It's been coming from just like circumstance. And then I see what other people are doing and I know I can make it better.
What other kind of cars do you have wrapped? Just the limo?
Limo, I have a short bus, I have my Durango, and then I have the C8 Corvette.
The Corvette. Yeah. Okay. I think I've seen the Corvette.
That one, I was like, I would love to own a Lamborghini or Ferrari one day. Because what do you do when you see a Ferrari? Like, that guy must be successful. So instead of like, I just wanted to breathe success. Like, I have it. Like, I know what I'm doing. It's credibility at that point. Because people do judge. And like, the more credibility I can create,
if you can afford it, if you can afford it. So like you said, you live off less so that you can afford to invest in, and you see those things as investments. This isn't you spending money on some lavish vacation. You're investing back into yourself. For sure. I remember I met a lady one time and the advice she got from my dad in the 80s, maybe it was 90s, but 80s was get a phone in your car. And this is like back in the day where you have the big box, you know, because she was a realtor, because it'll make you look more successboard. So it's just a similar concept, right? Yeah. Of just figuring out those things that help you look more professional, successful.
Well, I learned that in my first billboard. People were like, they thought I was a million. I had friends that hit me up for money and stuff. And I'm like, dude, you could sell one house. And if you have a billboard,
like, I actually need $5,000. Can I borrow from you?
People will think you do a lot more. So like when I started getting all of them and like I had the closings for it, but it did show like a different side. Like that's how the brand blew up.
Other than billboards and wrap cars, what other kind of marketing are you doing?
A lot of social media. My point when I was trying to say like, I'm just an average Joe, I think every single day, like what are other people doing that I can hop on? So like one of my genius marketing ideas was the donut things I do. So when I was thinking, like I went from no business to a lot of business, and one of the months I had 2 closings and one of the teams there had like 8. And I was like, what are they doing to get 8 closings? And what can I copy from them? What can I mimic? And every Friday they farm neighborhoods, and every Friday they do donuts and coffee in the neighborhood, just give them out for free. And then they take donuts to like the police station, fire station. Nice. So I started thinking that's a great idea. I'm gonna do the same thing, but how can I make it better? So one of the best things I think I do as an agent is I think like a consumer. Okay. So I was like, okay, so they're dropping them off at a hospital. If I'm a doctor and I'm gonna go in the break room and grab a donut, I'm gonna open the box, grab the donut, walk away. I'm not gonna look at the business card they tape to the donut box. It says Dunkin' Donuts. Your thing is this. Yeah. So I was like, I'm just gonna make the box my business card. So I bought glossy big black boxes, and it had like Let's Ink a Deal on the front of the box. It had my cartoon character and logo on the top, had my Instagram and phone number down the side. And that night I was on 20 different people, nurses' stories saying thank you for the donuts.
That's amazing.
And the box had my cartoon character and it was bright and vibrant, and they were taking pictures of it, and they got my Instagram because it's on the side and they tagged me.
That's cool.
So now I'm like 23 people who didn't know me before, and now all their followers who saw it from the story. And so I was like, that was a genius marketing idea, but in reality, it just took something somebody else is doing and try to make it
so
better.
Simple, so much cheaper.
So a lot of my stuff is just
so much cheaper than an $8,000 a month billboard.
So I don't believe in rip off and duplicate. I just try to rip off and make it my own and make it better. And that's my favorite thing about being an entrepreneur now, is like I never thought I was this person. Like I did a clothing company once, and when I did my clothing company, the shirts sold because they were funny. So I've always had this sense of humor.
I'd love to come to a meetup and talk about my story like I'm in AA, you know.
That's what it's for. Like,
I feel like I could learn and provide and everything while I'm there. So
the first conference I had or was going to run, I canceled it because I'm going to redo it better. But I had 10 speakers. And the whole purpose was for anyone that's inspired to want to be better or start a business or be an entrepreneur. After hearing these 10 people, it's impossible to make an excuse.
Would you mind inviting me to one? I mean, I'd love to.
Not at all. Yeah, absolutely.
Love to be a part of it.
Well, it was just the point, like everyone holds themselves back. So all these people, after you hear 10 stories, you now can't make an excuse. Just go do it. Because once you do it, you're going to be in it.
Yeah. And I just learned from sharing, for me, I'm an ambivert. Do you know what that is? Mm-hmm. I'm extroverted in certain situations, but mostly introverted in a lot of situations. So like if I'm comfortable with people, I'm really extroverted. In fact, I bet people in this room have never seen me be introverted. But like you bring me into a room of people I don't know very well, I actually get really introverted.
Yeah.
And almost the apostrophe, whatever you call that syndrome, is I deal with the same issue. But what I've found is when I'm vulnerable and I share some really hard things, people relate to it and it causes them to want to connect with me like, oh, I had a similar experience. And now all of a sudden I feel more genuinely connected. And I live off genuine relationships, which is hard when you're in a group of people. And I think that's my problem. Mm-hmm. It's hard to have a genuine relationship with random people in a group.
Everything changed for me at that conference I was telling you about that I spoke with the other people. I didn't think I should be there.
Yeah.
When I started off by saying, I'm not this, I'm not this, I'm
You're
not
vulnerable.
this, but here's what I did that you can do too as an average person. No one had their eyes off me. I didn't hear one noise. No one got up to go to the bathroom. And it made me so much more comfortable because I was like, I think these people relate more to me than these people. And that's not to like brag. It's more to say like they helped me overcome that fear.
Well, you are on the Real Estate Is show. Have you thought about what real estate is to you?
Yeah, it's life-changing.
Okay.
Yeah, it changed my life. It changed my kids' life.
I'm going to write that on your plaque here, but tell me what you mean by that.
It changed my entire life. It changed my kids' life. It made me like happy again. It made me like want to, like the drive to like, now I work for myself. Every job I've had, I got paid the same amount as everyone else, but I was the leader. I was the best worker. I was the best this, I was the best that. I got paid the same as the worst. It's changed my life. Not just that, like my kids' life. Like they're going to grow up seeing a different person. Plus they're going to want more for themselves.
They have a dad now, right? Mm-hmm. You almost weren't here for them because of it. And if real estate wasn't here, your life might not be here. So it fits really well.
That's why I think my 2-year-old was here because it was like my redo. Because my older two, like they're older now, and I didn't get to enjoy the younger years. So I think like he was the blessing because I get to redo it again. Like be there for the young life.
What's his name?
Enzo,
that's a cool name. Yeah. No, I really like that. And I think it applies. One thing that I'm impressed with, and you know, I can't tell you how many successful real estate agents come on the show that are not investing in real estate. And it boggles my mind. Like, you know, that's such a transactional business. Mm-hmm. I mean, at least with an EXP or Real, you have some passive income coming in or some additional income coming in, but you know, investing in real estate is, I want to get your opinion on that. We touched on it briefly, but it's an important subject to me because I think investing in real estate has been life-changing for me because I have passive income that if Rocket Lister goes away, if any of my companies go away, guess what? I still get rental income, right? Walk me through that.
So learning the investment side was, I started a team where my value add the most is we teach agents how to be half retail, half investment side. And it's because like what you just said, we have the best opportunities to become wealthy later on from being a real estate agent. And not just that, I think I've been prone to believe through real estate school, through NAR, through all these companies that I'm not allowed to give financial advice because I'm not a financial advisor. And I think going into a listing appointment says, list your home for 6% is financial advice because you don't know the problem. You just know they want to sell their house. Why do they want to sell their house? What is the true problem? And is it a cold lead? Are they even telling me the truth? They don't know me.
Can they wait 3 months to sell their house or do they need cash tomorrow?
Can they keep it? Can they refi out of it? Can they do a seller? So when I go to an agent, I'm not going to any listing appointment, to any appointment with anybody as a real estate agent. I'm just a problem solver. What's the problem and can we solve it? And there's 10 different ways I can tell you to sell a home. It doesn't mean you have to list your home. So being in the investment space have taught me to help the general community to say, hey, you don't have to sell sometimes. Like, what is the situation? And are you telling me the truth? Because if I have a cold lead and they just got a 90-day late foreclosure letter, they might think foreclosure, I got to sell my house. They're going to go to foreclosure. They don't know that there's so many steps they can do to not sell their house. Yeah. So are they going to tell me when I'm a stranger? It's an embarrassing thing to say. Yeah. So that's when I sit down and I ask, what are you going to do with the money? Like, what is the situation? What's the problem? And when they start telling you the problem, you're like, okay, do you think selling is really your option? You got this, this, and this. So the investment side has changed not only like me and my future and the kids' future, but also like now I'm going, I fight less objections on commission because now I'm showing.
You're also probably able to help people a lot more.
100%. Yeah. We've stopped foreclosures. I've went to 3-4 different listing appointments where I didn't list the home. I did a HELOC or I did a something where they use their equity to buy their dream home and keep it as a rental just by asking the questions.
Yeah. And guess what? You're going to get, when you do what's right with people, I mean, you're going to get business from their friends and family. And I mean, they're going to remember that you helped them.
Yeah.
And you didn't push them. You know, it's interesting because you don't like when people are pushy with you. That's probably not your sales approach.
No, sometimes my team, the sales manager drives them crazy, but sometimes I don't take paperwork. I'm just like, I don't want no pressure. Like if they're going to use me, they're going to use me.
Interesting. So, and it seems to work out for you.
Yeah. Like,
what does your team look like? Your makeup?
I have 16 agents now. All 16 of them are under the age of 25. Wow. I have 4 19-year-olds.
Bunch of real misfits, young misfits.
Well, so they started coming by the droves, and I had a team where I didn't have standards, but now I have more standards in place. So
you're like, anybody can come. Doors are open.
Well, that's how it used to be. Now it's more like, if you're not going to do the work, I don't want it. But these young kids are hungry, and like I thought I changed the look of real estate, so now I'm trying to change the age demographic to let them know. So we're very, very education focused and the transaction.
You need to be. That whole get it, want it capacity thing we talked about earlier, like they don't get it quite yet. You got to focus a lot on education with the younger. I ran a brokerage for a little bit. I don't know if you know this about me. I've never been a realtor. I owned a brokerage, and I realized that like you get these young, hungry realtors, but you got to spend a lot of time with them.
Yeah, it's a time drain for sure.
For sure. So anyway, so if there's a top realtor out there, whatever you define as a top realtor, top 1%, whatever that is, right? Whatever that definition is in any market, what advice do you have for them? Like, what's the best advice you have for a top agent?
Don't forget we all forget like the actual, like, what do we do? Our job is not to get $100,000 to get as many listings. Like it's to help people. I don't think I lost that, but I lost track when I got too busy of actually caring. I didn't have a CRM until 8 months ago. I wasn't. Wow. Because in my mind, I thought I was going to bother these people. They started listing homes that they bought without me. And I call them up and I say, hey, why did you list your home without me? It was, dude, you look too busy. I didn't want to bother you. You're flipping homes. You're buying homes here. Like I didn't think my $300,000 home I didn't want to bother you with it. And it was because I wasn't doing the thing I said I was going to change, which is like create the relationship. And I did, but it was just my mind saying like, they don't want to hear from you, dude. Like they just bought a house from you. Don't bother them. So that's how always my mindset has been around it. And I've changed that completely. So like not losing track of what this actually is. It's the relationships. What
CRM are you using?
Now we go high level.
Do you like it?
Very much so.
What do you like about it?
We're building it to be specifically for us. It's white labeled. It's kind of, you build what you want out of it.
Yeah.
We've actually sold it to 3 different agents, and we're going to build it and sell it to people too, because it's a very cheap system. And I think CRM systems outcharge a lot of people.
What's special about it that you like?
The funnels, it creates a lot of funnels. It does social media integration. Like it does everything for you. And the workflows and the funnels it has is insane.
Let's have a little bit of fun right now. You sell somebody a house. What does the drip campaign look like to touch them over at how much time?
During the process, there's like 5 or 6, and then afterwards is a 30 touch for a year.
You do 30 touches a year. Is that through email, text, phone call?
All of it, yeah. And then drop bys too.
I'm hoping after the first year, knowing you're not doing this. It's not, do you want to sell a house?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's for the leads. For past clients that have closed.
That's what I'm asking.
I think it's like a 10 to 12 touch. But
it's more just stay in touch. Here's what's going on.
Quarterly call.
Yeah.
Drop bys for 2 different holidays, birthday.
So as much as you don't want to bother people, you're touching people a lot.
Yeah, but it's very non-salesy. Like it's like a home anniversary is just a happy
donuts, and
then inviting them to the events and stuff like that. The successful misfits, like bring them into my world too.
Interesting. So you just bring them into your community.
Yeah, a lot of them come to the events.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
If there's an agent out there that is a misfit themselves or wants to get a hold of you or just wants to learn from you, what's the best way for somebody to get a hold of you?
Call Tattoo on Instagram. CALL Tattoo. Call Tattoo. That's my Instagram. And then YouTube, I'm starting it, but it's the Successful Misfits has a YouTube page, but it's kind of just started getting going.
Contacting you through Instagram is the best way.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, appreciate you having you on. And
appreciate you guys having me here. So
yeah, this has been great. Thanks.
Thank you.